What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nissiah, and I'm back with another video. So many of you know, if you've followed my channel before, that I talk about phlebotomy, that I do phlebotomy, that I'm certified in phlebotomy, that I love phlebotomy, but I most recently, these past couple of months, have done something different compared to what I normally do, whether just like, you know, working at a regular job. I have gotten into travel phlebotomy, and today, as you can tell from the title, I will be talking to you guys about it, how to get into it, just a bunch of details, my experience, especially like my first, even though I have not been doing this for a long time, I still feel like I do know a lot, and the mistakes that I've made and that I wish I would have never made, and or how to not make these mistakes, and what you should do when it comes to travel phlebotomy or travel nursing or travel anything when you're in a healthcare field. So if you guys want to see more of this, just go ahead and stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Help your girl out. And let's just get right into it. Alrighty guys, so let's go ahead and get right into this video. I do have my handy dandy notebook, computer, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to be, I wrote down a couple notes or whatever throughout this whole process, throughout the whole, you know, past couple of months. Things that I wish I would have done, as well as just more so things that are smart, things that I need to keep in mind, things that, you know, going into like new contracts and things like that. It's like, it's so much. But right now we're about to go ahead and get straight into it. Alrighty guys, so the big question here is, what exactly travel nursing, travel phlebotomy, travel in the healthcare field, what exactly is it? And it basically just is the opportunity where you can work, but work for more. And or go to a different state and do that as well. The reason why I personally like it so much is because, one, I wanted to make more money. Two, I wanted to see the world. Like, other than, you know, Atlanta or New York or Florida, those are the only states, or Virginia or Philly, those are the only states that I really kind of know. Not know, but just have been to. And I would love to be able to explore other parts of the world. But also, it's just like a given 2-in-1 type situation where I'm going to Texas, I'm in Texas, and I travel to Texas where I can see it on my off days. And while I'm working, I'm able to make more money, and I'm still working. So it kind of gives you that type of vibe. Yeah, you can always travel, you know, outside of work, and just be there for just traveling. Like, maybe you can go to California for a whole week, and that's fine. But when it comes to being there for a whole 3 months or 6 months or even a year, like, I think I would prefer to be there a whole year and actually say, yeah, I lived there for a whole year. Maybe I might want to actually move here, you know, or maybe it gives you that opportunity to see more of the world, or more of that city, or more of that state. So that's one thing that I really like about the whole travel phlebotomy. So that aspect. Now the other aspect is the finances. Like, you're making so much more than you would be making at your regular old job, where you may, I know, being a phlebotomist, you can range anywhere from making $12 an hour to maybe $18, $19, or even $25 an hour. Or maybe it might be more, depending on the years of experience. But you guys know that I don't really have that much, other than like about 5 years of experience in this field. So when it comes to that, it's like I can't really make the top tier, because there's people who have been in this for like 10, 15 years or whatever. So that's kind of like the downfall at working at like a regular hospital or doctor's office, or just, you know, not in the travel industry. Now, when it comes to the travel now, you're able to make top tier. So how it works is basically they pay you your flat rate. Now, I am making $12 an hour. However, that's the portion that is going to be taxed. Now, when it comes to the other money that they give you for like lodging as well as meals, this is called your per diem or whatever. And this part is not taxed whatsoever. So they can give you like $1,500 or $1,300 of money that is not taxed from the government, that is free to you, for you to be able to lodge and eat. Now, if you're smart about it, you would not spend so much or eat so much. When it comes to that, you would go ahead and pocket that and save that, because you're not going to go, and this is a week, this is weekly, okay? I don't know if I mentioned this or not. This is weekly, so that is the good part about it. So given that this is your weekly, payment. You're making the money weekly, obviously, and then also you're making a stipend and you're making your actual paycheck. So I'm going to round it about like, how do I say this? I'm going to basically round it off at, maybe you could be making altogether $1,500 a week, or maybe $1,900, or you could probably, like, it kind of ranges depending on who's your recruiter, what company you're with, where you're going, you know what I'm trying to say. So sometimes up north or western, you might be making more than you will be making in the south. So I've looked at other contracts in other basically hospitals like down south in like Florida. Some of them range from like $1,100, $1,300, maybe it might be $1,500, depending on the need of that hospital. If they're going to need people, they're going to be wanting to pay top dollar. So it is, again, the company. Not all companies get the same contracts, or get the same hospitals, or have the same states. Like the company that I'm with, they don't necessarily go to New York. Not saying that they never will have New York as a availability, but certain states, they don't really get that. Whereas other companies, they're like, oh, we're New York based, we get a lot of contracts from there, we get a lot of partnerships with them, so you got to kind of do your research when it comes to that. But again, back to the main point is, down south may not be as much compared to up north. Here in Texas, it could be like $1,500, $1,900, again, based on experience, again, based on your recruiter and your company. So it's wide ranges, but you cannot beat that. That's still making more than you would be making if you're at a regular job. Whereas most people don't really make $1,500 in 2 weeks. You know what I'm trying to say? You're making that in 1 week. And as long as you're just stacking it up, spending your money wisely, you're gonna be like, yes ma'am, period. You feel me? So that is that's tip number 1. So basically that kind of just sums up what exactly travel phlebotomy is. Now, kind of going into my next point, let's see, what did I write down? My pros and cons. So personally, I think the pros and cons, I kind of already named it, but the pros, obviously you're making more money, you're getting the opportunity to travel, meet new people, meet people from different states, kind of say that you've lived there in a sense, and you kind of give it a vibe of that whole area. That's a pro. You're making more money. I'm not gonna say that this is for all hospitals, because every hospital is different, every company is different, but when it comes to the leniency, like, there's a good leniency when it comes to travelers. Like, oh, she's a traveler, like, it's sad to say, because it's like, dang, like, I feel bad for the people who actually do work there. But when you're a traveler, it's like kind of like I don't report to you in a sense. I report to my recruiter. Not saying that you get to be disrespectful or not do what you're supposed to do, but it's like they can't really. They can tell you what to do, but they can't be like, look, like, threaten you by like saying, oh, you're gonna get fired, because they need you, really, But that, again, that does not give you the right to, do anything bad. Does not give you the right to, be disrespectful or anything in that type of nature. But it just says, like, the pressure is not necessarily all on you at all times, Okay, so a con to me, there's no real big con that I would say is like really, really, oh, like, this is just terrible, I just wouldn't want to do this again. I have not experienced that yet, but I'm pretty sure that other people could find a lot of cons within this, especially if you do have a family, especially if you do have children. I think it would be a lot harder for you to travel, but I have seen it been done. Like, I have friends here who did bring their children with them, put them in daycare here in this state, you know what I'm trying to say? So it is doable. So if you do have children, little children, children in general, there's like ways that you could do it, especially during this pandemic. Like, homeschool is big right now. So there is opportunities for you to be able to just pick up your family and look, hey, let's go, and the amount of money that they will be paying you, like, I feel like it will be definitely feasible, The only thing, another con that you could say is if you do have a residence at home that you're paying for, you got to think about that, plus your stay here. You get what I'm trying to say? So again, like, there's like different ways that you can think about it. Now, when you do get your contract or whatever, they do pay you obviously coming, like, so they'll give you like a stipend or whatever, saying like your travel stipend. So whether or not you want to travel up here by plane or travel by car, you know, you could look at it like that. Now there's pros and cons to that. I drove. I had no problem with it, but it did take 16 hours to get here. Even though I stopped in Louisiana and, you know, took a break for like a couple hours and then, you know, slept. The next morning I headed back out, you know, on my way back on my way to, you know, Texas. So now if you don't like driving, I would see why that would be a problem. But to me, that wasn't bad. And they give you like a little bit of a sum of cash to be able to go up there. Another con to that would be you don't get that money until you actually start your first week. You have to work, I think, at least a whole 2 weeks in order to start getting any funds. So if you get a credit card, that would be your best friend coming up here and kind of getting you out into the world. Or if you just have the funds to be able to fund yourself to get up here, you know, that would work. Now that's just with the company that I'm with. I don't know if that's for every company. I'm pretty sure it is, because, you know, they wouldn't want to give you the money and then you end up not coming. So kind of keep that in mind. But they do give you like a stipend coming up and coming back, and that's not included. That's not being taken from the money that they're giving you to work and actually lodge and things like that. That's just an additional. So the numbers could range anywhere from $250, like $250 up, and $250 coming back from the actual assignment, or $250, or anywhere from $250 up to maybe like even $600, $800. But when it gets higher, I think they give you just that in general. Like, I'm giving you $800 in general for up and back type thing, you know, type situation. So yeah, that's that on that. So that's like the pros and cons to that. What other con would I say? A con. Coming into this, if you do not do your research, you will be played. Now, when you have, let me explain a recruiter. A recruiter is someone who recruits you basically, and puts you at these different hospitals, puts you on contracts. They help you throughout the process. Now, the hard part is actually doing your research. You can't really do your research on the recruiter that you get, but you can hear them out. You can apply for the company, and you can like, hey, like, ask them different questions or whatever. But they can smell new people, and sometimes certain recruiters do get over on you if you do not know what you're supposed to be, you know, doing, or if you do not know your information. That's why I'm trying here to, this video might have to be like a part 2 type thing, but the really important thing is to make sure that you are doing your research, and not being dumb when it comes to a lot of things. Everything that they say, everything that they send you, make sure you're reading thoroughly and completely, because there's fine lines to certain things. And if you're going to go somewhere out of state to work, you want to be comfortable in any and every situation that you're in. Now, I kind of want to explain a situation that I was most recently in. Basically, my recruiter sent me an email stating that, hey, like, they're, you know, hiring kind of type thing or whatever. They're hiring and they need people stat. Now, the contract that I'm with now is literally ending in like 2 weeks. So I was like, you know, they have not tried to extend me. They have not said anything about that. Like, I was like kind of like, okay, nervous, because I don't know when I'm gonna get my next check type situation, even though they pay you enough to kind of not even really worry about that. But, you know, me, like, I just like to be on top of my funds. Like, I don't like to not know what am I doing next type thing. And given that this was a, you know, the last couple, you know, it's weaning down to like my last week or whatever, or last 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead. Now, the problem with that is when I said, yeah, go ahead, there was definitely a miscommunication. I kind of think that maybe the individual could have tried to get over on me in this situation, but I'm still trying to figure it out, you know? So my suggestion to you guys is that whenever they send you something, you read it. And if you don't feel comfortable with saying or giving an answer right now, be like, hey, can we speak on the phone? Because you don't want to be, like, basically, let me explain the situation. I said, yes, go ahead and submit me, thinking that saying yes, submit me, that would start the process and going ahead and basically starting the interview process, starting, like, you know, the whole process that I did with this exact same thing. When I said yes, go ahead and start the process, that's what I thought I meant, or that what was being portrayed, you know, when I said yes. However, that wasn't the same situation. It was basically stating that yes, once I say yes, it auto-enrolled me and I'm obligated to go up there, which was not the case. Like, I really wanted to stay here and I wanted to extend my contracts, but because I said yes, you know, it automatically was like, this is what it is, you know. So that part, I'm still trying to figure out if it was 100% true. My only suggestion to you guys is making sure that you're following up with them, saying, hey, if I say yes, what happens next? You know, like, what's the steps after this? Am I automatically obligated to it, and or, you know, how do I get out of it? So because I wanted to extend, now getting out of it, it messes up with the companies that, like, my name is kind of like smeared in a sense. And I don't like that. You know, when I obligate something, I'm saying yes, like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it regardless, you know, if I'm going to say yes type thing. But it was a little miscommunication, and or individuals could have tried to get over on me. I still don't know at this moment, but that's just my tip to you guys. Like I said, do your research, listen to everything, you know, listen to the elderly too. That would be another tip that I would say, is listen to the people who have been doing this for many years. They will help you. That's also where I've been getting my information from, is because they're like, yo, like, this is what you're supposed to do. They be trying to get over on people, like, you know, this and that, all that craziness. So my next tip would be to kind of follow up with that, what I was saying with, like, the elderly. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because if you don't ask, you will never know. And it will be dumb for you not to ask questions. So that's really, really important for you to go ahead and ask questions. If you don't know, just ask whoever, ask the supervisor, ask really the people who've been doing this for so long, you know, all of that. Guys, so the next tip when it comes to traveling, once you have your assignment and your contract, everything is signed, you already kind of know. Wait, before I say this, before it's signed, I would say that do your research on the actual states, the area, the hospital, like anything and possibly anything that you can possibly do to know about that state in that area. So when I first came to here in Dallas, I looked up the area. I tried to look up hospitals near here. I'm like, they kept talking about medical city, medical state, medical district. That's a good high-end area. So I'm automatically thinking, oh, this is gonna be perfect, you know. However, the hotel, I was staying at a hotel. The hotel that was near there wasn't giving what it said it was supposed to be giving. You know, the pictures didn't seem, like, the pictures seemed good, but when I got there, it wasn't adding up, okay? And that's the problem that I had. So I had to kind of tough it out for a whole week, which, you know, I saved money because it wasn't that expensive, but I could have gotten just as better. I could have gotten better for the same price that I was paying for that hotel. Like, it was literally like, it reminded me of like a motel. It was the Sonesta, but not all Sonestas are the same. Is the area that you're in, you know, it could be a freaking Marriott, but if it's in the hood, you're gonna get what you've asked for, you know? Like, that's just kind of like what it is. So that's that on that. Definitely do your research before coming, and as well as making sure that you have everything. Like, give yourself at least 2 weeks to kind of plan everything out. Like, hey, I'm gonna be staying at this hotel, I'm gonna be staying at that hotel, or I'm gonna stay in an apartment. Like, you know, everything, so that when you get there, you're not like, oh my god, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna be in a new area. You may, especially if this is your first, you know, rodeo, like, you're gonna be like kind of like confused, a little like, don't really know, you know. You just want to relieve as much stress as you can possibly off of yourself by handling everything before you actually get there, and giving yourself time to kind of get yourself together, you know. So that's that. Alrighty, so when it comes to your contract, once you say, hey, yes, you've done your interview to this place, and during the interview process, that's where you're gonna find out a lot of information that in the slide that they send you to, like, be offered or whatever, that doesn't really mention it, like, you know, maybe the hours of operation, and or will you be stuck on a COVID floor, and or, like, this is your time to literally ask, because you're kind of in control here. Look, because they really need you, you know. That's the whole point of them doing the travel, you know, assignments, is because they are in need of phlebotomists, in need of nurses, in need of any and every aspect of life, pretty much. So you need to be asking, hey, what floors will I be making? How many beds does this hospital have? How many patients will I be assigned to when you're talking about nursing? Or how many patients do you guys stick on a daily? Like, what is the recommended? What is the minimum? Making sure you're answering questions that they do ask you, like, properly. Like, when they ask you, they're literally asking you, are you, you know, okay with drawing people with tuberculosis? Are you okay with taking care of patients with this type of symptoms? Or, you know, COVID, that's like the big thing right now. Are you okay with drawing people and going into rooms that are COVID? And that will honestly make or break your interview. If you say no, they're probably not gonna hire you, because that's what is in need right now, and that's what's like mainly important. Now, personally, I don't want to go into no COVID room, and I don't like to do it, but because I am in the healthcare field, that is something that you're just gonna have to do. You know, especially you can't be like, oh, somebody that has HIV or I don't want to stick them because they have that. Like, that's madness. You're here to take care of them. You're here to provide a service for them. This is the healthcare field. If you don't, I'm just saying, like, you can't say, oh, I don't want to go into something or go into a place that is not benefiting me because da-da-da-da. No, you signed up for that when you first got your license. You knew this is what you were going into. You may not have, because there's a lot of things that I've witnessed that I didn't even know that, you know, we're here. But just knowing, like, yo, like, this is what you're gonna be dealing with type stuff, like, and you gotta kind of choose. Alrighty guys, so when it comes to the contract, again, making sure that the contract is 100% correct. 100% correct. When I say 100% correct, because whatever you sign, when you sign that thing, you are legally binded to that. You can't be like, oh, I didn't know. Well, you should have read the contract. Especially if there's anything needs to be corrected, you need to let your recruiter know, hey, this is not the amount that we agreed on. You said that I would be making this amount at the end of the day, da-da-da, like all of that stuff. Like, making sure that you know it 100%, the address of it, make sure, you know, so you're not getting scammed whatsoever. No recruiters getting over on you. Like, if it's supposed to be a certain amount of per diem that they're promising you, that better be in the contracts 100%. Because if it's not, you signed for whatever price they put in there. Now, after that, depending on what recruiter that you have, if there was a mistake and that you didn't realize it, you need to bring that up as soon as possible. Do not wait till 3 or 4 weeks later to say, hey, this was not correct. Like, girl, like, what are you doing, you know? Or boy, what are you doing? Like, so making sure this says everything that correct, like your name on there is correct, you know, the address is correct, the amount that's paying you for food stipend, for lodging stipend, for your actual hourly, you know, even like for holidays, you get what I'm trying to say, your time off. Normally they ask you like, hey, is there like a certain amount of days that you need to be off for a certain amount of time, or like your days that you need off, they're gonna ask you that. Make sure it's correct, make sure you start planning for that, you know, so that you could be like, hey, I'm taking off for this day, I'm not gonna be here for this week, this day I'm not gonna be here, or I need this weekend off type thing, you know, that type of situation. Make sure you have those down pat. Make sure that says and states inside of the contract the dates that you will be off, because you be like, well, I have it in my contract, it says it in the contract, I'm supposed to be off this week, that's it. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, they can't be like, oh, like that. No, it was in my contract, like, you know, this is what it is type thing, you know. Alrighty guys, so now that I've hopefully grasped any questions that you guys may have about this traveling opportunity, I kind of want to give you tips that have helped me throughout this process, as a female, as a male, as an individual that's visiting another state. Here's some tips, so let's get started. Alrighty, first things first, because I am a female, I'm gonna speak about females for a second, or a couple minutes. First and foremost, as a female, when you're traveling to a different state, the key to making sure that, for me, what I did was I researched the place. I knew exactly, I wanted to be in a hotel. I wanted to be in a hotel that was close enough to my job, at least 15 minutes away, so that, you know, if I ever ran late, you know, I'll be there in time. You know, I can get there really quickly. I can get to my house in like within 15 minutes in any situation for an emergency or anything like that. If I gotta pick up and leave and gotta go, you know, I'm not like 30 minutes, 40 minutes out. So I'm beating the traffic, all of that. You know what I'm trying to say? First things first. Secondly, like I said about, you know, researching the hotel. I know on Google Maps, if you look and search up an address, you can see the surrounding areas. You know, that's gonna be your best friend. Like, you want to see, like, hey, this area looks a little run down. You know, you're not gonna want to really stay near the hospital. You may want to live 15 minutes out, or, you know, because area is literally, like, when I tell you the first hotel that I went to and that I was staying here, you know, at, I'm talking about, like, I promise you, like, I seen girls, to me they look like they was prostitutes, but hey, I'm not gonna judge, nor am I gonna say like this is what it is. That's just the vibe that I got. The couches in the actual room were dirty. Like, it to me, it was really dirty. And even when I got there, I asked the ladies at the desk, I was like, hey, if I was your daughter, you know, would you guys want your daughter to be staying here? It was just like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't get it. I'm being so dumbfounded. Alrighty guys, so now that I've kind of spoke about it a little bit, I want to kind of show you guys how to kind of get started with this travel phlebotomy. Personally, first things first is you want to type in, honestly you could just type in travel companies, travel phlebotomy companies, travel nursing companies. You could do that, or you can watch my, you know, most recent video on the top companies that I recommend. You could do that, or basically, like, the one that I'm with is AMN. Personally, I've been with them, and I do like them. There's different sections underneath AMN, so they have club staffing and they have med travelers, you know, different things like that. And once you find your company that you think that you want to, you know, decide in or whatever, you just pretty much apply like you would do for like a regular job. They're going to reach out to you and say, hey, you know, how much experience do you have? You know, get a little background on the job that you've had. You need some references because they want to make sure you are who you are and that you are reliable. Because like I said, once you sign up and you sign contracts and things like that, it falls back on them whether or not you actually go. Because it's like, look, you know what I'm trying to say? You basically they're putting their neck out on the line for you. So that they're basically vouching for you, saying, yes, this person is good, this person knows what they're doing, yes, this person is going to be beneficial to your company. So like I said, that's why they're gonna need the references and stuff like that. So go ahead and make sure you have those, you know, wrapped up, your references, your experience, your most recent, you know, experience in the doctor's offices and things like that, or hospitals, wherever you worked. Most companies require you to have at least 2 years of experience. Honestly. Look, I'm not saying to lie. I am not saying to lie. I am not saying to lie. But sometimes you gotta exaggerate the truth. Sometimes. Look, I'm not even gonna, why am I doing this? I'm not even finna say that. I'm just saying whatever y'all do is whatever y'all do, and however y'all get that situation handled is how you get it. But I'm just gonna let you know, hey, they require at least 2 years of experience, most, because that's what's gonna tell them, hey, they know what they're doing. And if you've worked in hospitals and things like that, that's what's gonna help them determine if you're a good candidate or not. Some may require only a year. It just depends on company, hospital, and things like that. Regardless, even if you only have a year or 6 months, apply. Go ahead and apply, you know, tell them like this is what it is, because there are, you know, travelers who, I don't know if I've ever met a traveler that has never had an experience, but, well, yeah, there has been somebody. So I don't really know how long that individual was working, but just go ahead and apply. Like, tell them the situation. Yes, I do know what I'm doing. Yes, I have experience in this and that, you know, requiring. But I would just recommend any and everybody to apply, especially if you do know exactly what you're doing. Personally, I think it will be hard for you to be a traveler in the healthcare field if you don't really know what you're doing. Now, if you're like a CNA, stuff like that I think is like a little more lenient, but like if you're a nurse and you don't really know what you're doing, you don't really have the full, I would not really so much, I'm not gonna say not to, but it's a little scary, you know? At least try to do some research and, like, you know, inform yourself so that when you're at that hospital, you can show your abilities to the best of your, you know, capabilities type thing. And same thing with even phlebotomy. And I'm trying to say, like, if you don't know how to stick I would practice, girl. Practice, learn your tubes, learn, you know, everything. Learn. Teach yourself so that when you do get to those places, it will be good for you. Alrighty guys, so that is it for this video. I am so glad that you guys have stayed tuned to see this whole video and to see to this point. I am proud of you guys and I appreciate you guys so much. But yeah, I'm excited for you guys' new journey on travel and traveling and this whole, you know, finding yourself as well as figuring out what you want to do in life. I'm excited for you guys. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys are planning to do. What are you guys thinking about? Maybe what company you may be thinking about. Any questions that you have, I will try and answer it to the best of my ability. But again, definitely do your research. And yeah, like, give your girl a subscribe if you really love me. Yeah. And put your bell notifications on so you will know when exactly I upload each and every time. So you will never miss not one video. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.